Awesome. All right. Well, hey, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are today. I hope you're enjoying some sunshine as we are here in California on the West Coast. I am Chris Trapani, co-founder and CEO of Christie's International Real Estate Sereno, and I'm incredibly honored to moderate this fantastic panel today. I was quite a productive agent back in the day before I entered into leadership, so I can fully appreciate the challenge of being on 24/7 and how difficult it is to scale your business and the personalization that I know many agents strive for with their clients. To complicate things further, we have this thing called life and the ongoing challenge, balancing business with the demands and frankly, our passion for family, friends, and activities outside the business remains an ongoing challenge, as it was 35 years ago when I started in the business, despite all of the technology promising efficiency and kind of, a simpler life and way. I also want to thank our sponsor, Sign More, and we're very fortunate to have their representative on our call today. And I would love to introduce her and learn a little bit more about her, about Sign More, and how they're helping real estate agents increase efficiency and productivity. So please welcome Mandy Ruiz, Head of Development at Sign More.
Thank you, Chris, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Like Chris said, I'm Mandy with Sign More. I'm so happy to be here with you all today to have this discussion, and it's something that I'm truly passionate about. I live in the Orlando area. I'm here with our 5 children. My husband, we have a dog and 2 cats. So we are a very busy and bustling family. So this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart because it's how do you create that work-life balance, having the family, having all of the things going on, being, in business and also being able to have that balance as well. So I am really excited to be here with everyone today.
Absolutely. That's great, Mandy. We're so happy to have you. It's been great getting to know you. So I'm really looking forward to your contributions in the call today. So also I want to thank our panelists, Angela and Eric. And I'd first like to introduce and welcome Angela Adams, who's a realtor with Michael Saunders and Company. Angela, welcome. We'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Again, Angela Adams. I am originally born in New Hampshire and moved to Sarasota, Florida 26 years ago. I am the mom to 2 amazing sons and the wife to a wonderful husband. Fun fact, we love to fish and actually won the International Fishing Association Championship in 2019 and won a boat.
Wait, what kind of fishing?
It's red fishing. So we do redfish and then freshwater bass, but we did win a redfish tournament. So that was
our son Rocco is going to have to meet you guys. He's a big largemouth bass fisherman. So that's fantastic.
Yes, yeah. So love that. And as you mentioned, I am a full-time realtor at Michael Saunders, and is an exceptional independent brokerage here in Sarasota. We cover 3 counties, Sarasota, Manatee, and Charlotte County for residential. And I joined the company in 2002 as a part-time accountant in their accounting division, and then worked in different facets of the company to include title and executive assistant to the president, Drayton Saunders, until I transitioned into sales in 2019, which is truly where my passion lies in this industry. So.
Well, this is going to be great. Thank you, Angela. I mean, you're right in the thick of it, with your family life and your business life. And I mean, man, what I remember that time, when the kids are little. So we're really looking forward to hearing, how you're balancing all of those things.
Yeah, so thank you for having me.
All right, we also have Eric Landry, associate broker from Portside Real Estate Company. And I love this Portside company. Their founder is very inspiring, and I know they do a lot for their local community there as well. So way to go, selling houses and improving our communities. What a fantastic combination. So Eric, we'd love to hear about you.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, Dava is awesome. Dava is actually one of the catalysts for why I actually joined Portside, just because of her philanthropic vision of how to give back to the community, and how to kind of structure it so it impacts so many different groups, because it changes each year. But enough about that, for sure. You know, I'm a dad of 2 teenagers in high school right now, and I am also a full-time career real estate broker. But I came to real estate from the healthcare space. Spent a lot of time in the operating room, lived 6 a.m. to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night in the operating room. But as COVID happened, you know, COVID kind of changed the direction of my startup company, and suddenly I was blessed with the opportunity to grab my license and get into this field that apparently, you know, all that was behind me had really trained me for. That's the best way to kind of dovetail that together, for sure. But it's been an amazing first couple of years, and honored to be here.
That's awesome. You know, ER nurses and school teachers, you know, make some of the very, very finest real estate people. So what a great background. So
For sure.
our topic today is the power of being available 24/7. You know, when I hear that, I almost get like a little bit of PTSD, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, how can I be available all the time? Do I want to be available all the time? You know, what's that going to do, you know, to my psyche and to my life? And all that, but we're going to talk about how to level up responsiveness for stronger client connections. Like I just want to know how we're going to achieve this. So we're hoping here within the next hour, we're going to be able to unpack some philosophies and practical ways that our attendees can, you know, put into action right away and benefit from. So we're going to lead off here with a pretty general question, and that is, what value does being promptly responsive bring to your clients and business? And also, if you have an example or two, that would be wonderful. So who would like to lead off?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the value for our customers in prompt and efficient response is that they have information at their fingertips, as we all do. So the fact that they're reaching out to you and asking you for information, when you reply promptly, you are building trust, knowing that they can rely on you. I think it reinforces your value as their advisor, and ultimately that's going to increase customer satisfaction and generate, you know, not only the trust in you, but then the trust to refer you to others.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Eric?
I would say a quick book recommendation for all the listeners today is David Allen's Getting Things Done. Because what he speaks to is the fact that if it's a request, whether it's in person, in text, over the phone, in a voicemail, if it's under 5 minutes, you need to do it that very minute. You need to get it done that very minute. What it will do in turn is it will free your bandwidth up, and you'll know that that client's need has been met at that time. And it's also going to improve, to Angela's point, your credibility with the client as you're working with them, because you're so quick and on the spot. But then on top of that, I think there's another caveat to this, which is setting the right transparent expectations with the client that you're working with. So that, especially as we get busier, especially in the Northeast where the spring season starts to take off and you're going into the stratosphere with how many different things you have going on, it's imperative to have that kind of transparency about expectations and when you can deliver for them. And so if it's under 5 minutes, you just crank it out right there on the spot. And if it's over that, then you've got to block time within your schedule where your clients are knowing you're going to be getting back to them. So that's a couple of twofolds.
No, that's really good. Would you be willing to elaborate that on a little bit? I mean, conceptually, I get the idea, but I mean, what does a day or two look like in terms of your kind of managing the day and blocking out that time?
Sure. So book drop again, right? So Michael Mayer, 7 Levels of Communication. Just a big fan of reading, but I mean, it helps you expand your horizons, right? So what you're doing is you're time blocking. So, but when you meet with your listing possibility or your buyer, whichever side of it, from the very start, you're going to speak to how you block your day, how you block your time. And so it's not going to be a surprise that from 8 to 10 in the morning, when you're taking care of your in-business work, your listings and your buyers are going to know, oh, that's right, he mentioned that this is what he's doing at that time, but he did also say that before noon every single day of the week, 7 days a week, he's going to have questions answered. So they're automatically going to know that your ability to deliver is still there. It just may be a more complex question, a deed question or a survey question. Nothing that you can just crank an answer out to, but at the same time, that level of expectations has already been set at the beginning. And so it's just kind of like a gentle re-delivery of the message throughout is what I'm talking about. So my Mondays, I made the joke, but 8 to 10 is block time for administrative tasks that I'm working on. Could be actually projects for the very clients that are calling. However, then from 11 to 12 is the actual return call time. What it does is it allows you to kind of continually deliver that level of excellence that they're looking for, but also they'll be able to rely on you. They rely on the fact, oh, we know when he's going to get back to me, right?
That's awesome. A lot of agents and those that are really successful are like perpetual, right? It's easy to kind of work around the clock. I mean, there's always more business to do. So it's kind of almost like, and I still personally struggle with it, trying to, resist that urge to auto respond to everything, right? That's a difficult discipline.
Sure.
I still struggle with that. You mentioned a key thing, like if it's a 5-minute thing, that's one thing, but learning the discipline to kind of table something, if you go, look, this is going to be much more involved and I need to kind of table that. That's really tough, I think, for, highly productive salespeople, because they want to kind of just keep things moving and pushing, they want to keep pushing things. So that's very helpful. Mandy, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, definitely. Eric, I absolutely love the book recommendations. At Signmore, we are really, really big on, keeping up with learning and growing. So I love those recommendations. I'll check them out. But I'll tell you this, with the clients that we work with with Signmore, what you mentioned is so key, time blocking, because it allows, what we do is that we're that tool, we're a piece in that toolbox that helps to create that sense of, okay, if you're not available to take calls at this time, then we are. So we would be the ones to gather the information, to be able to take that message, set those expectations for those leads that you're not available at this moment, but during your callback time, you'll have all of that information to be able to give, to dedicate that time to giving them the call back. So I love that you mentioned that, because it really fits into creating that balance, right? Creating that space to be able to have that balance in your life. So I thought that was really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also, Mandy, you've kind of mentioned, about creating this personalized client experience, right? And so again, this scaling personalization, I mean, I was an individual practitioner. I didn't have a big team. When I started, we didn't even have transaction coordinators until later. It was really hard to, I know, it was very hard to let go of handling even the paperwork. If you're a perfectionist, it's very difficult. So could you give us some examples in the Signmore world about how do you create this personalized client experience?
Yes, definitely, Chris. So we work with each client to create a custom script. So it's like essentially outsourcing a receptionist and providing us the insight on how you would have someone answer your calls. So we would state we'd answer the phone in your greeting. We would then collect the information that you would want us to collect from the caller. And then once we do that, we can either, if we pre-qualify a lead, if it's something that fits, like going back to Eric, if it fits in that 5-minute box, and you would give us that guideline of, okay, this type of call, forward this to me right away, because I can answer that question within 5 minutes. Or if it's something that requires a lot more in-depth research, and or you need to spend more time on it, we would then be able to take a message and then send you that message so that you're able to follow up with them when you are available to provide them with the information. So it gives them, it empowers agents, it empowers everyone in real estate to really have control over how they're handling their calls.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Great.
Yeah. So look, come on. Is it even possible or healthy to be available 24/7. I mean, this is, I mean, is it?
Well, coming from the med device agent or rep, that was one thing that I did have to kind of get used to, which is surgeons would be calling me at 10:30 at night and I'd have to walk through aspects of my product while they're there. Not because they didn't know how to use it, but they had a few other nuanced questions that even the nurse practitioner couldn't answer. And what's really interesting is that it's also one of the things that I felt such a relief when I got into real estate, because typically 9 o'clock, the real estate calls kind of ebb off. They really do. They kind of dive down.
Although you always
Now,
get that
sometimes,
one client, you always get
yes,
the one, when you have them, bing, oh, we don't expect you to get back to us tonight. It really means,
well, I've had that at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Oh, we got to see this. We got to see this. I guarantee you we're not doing showings at 4 a.m. I'm certain.
I interrupted your train of thought, though. You were on a good roll there, though.
Well, what it did was it ended up training, my entire family got used to me having to step out and answer a call quickly. And again, it's one of those things where if it's within that 5-minute window, I'll hop up, I'll answer it, and I'll take care of it, because I'm still building a career out of this. And I think that that's another thing that we touched upon earlier, where the trajectory of that 24/7 coverage really doesn't end at the closing table, because what you're doing is you're building a referral channel and a referral network for your career, for your business. And so the more that you can be, I'll use Johnny on the spot with regards to how you can address the need, the faster you're going to see referrals come in. And I'm not kidding. And I can't stress that enough. I've had 2 come in today alone that just blew me away, because you're not expecting them, but the delivery is what is the key to the longevity in the career. And I think Mandy's service sounds amazing, because it allows you as an agent to level up, when it comes to delivery and quality of life. That's the other side of it.
Yes.
We'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes, but Angela, how about for you? I mean, do you think it's possible, like sustainable or healthy, with this idea of being available 24/7?
I do. I think with all the technology and services available, the support systems, such as SignMore, I do think that it is possible, but I absolutely agree that I do see, you have that one person who wants an immediate response, but many times those calls do kind of taper off unless you're working with someone in a different area. I think it's sustainable through consistency. So when you put different systems into place and you stick with them, I love the time blocking and making sure that you're setting communication and expectations. And I think delegating certain aspects of your business does make you appear to be available 24/7, even when you're physically doing other things like spending time with your family and enjoying you time, which we're all entitled to, right?
Of course,
And
of course. So
Angela,
go ahead. Did you have something else,
sorry,
Mandy?
I was just
Yeah.
going to touch on what you said, Angela, because the thing is you're also here in Florida with me, and the thing is that we're getting a lot of people that are moving over from California, from all other parts of the country, and we're talking about time zone differences. So where they may be reaching out at 6 p.m., that's 9 p.m. over here on the East Coast. So still being able to have the coverage, even, it doesn't matter the time zone, but still being able to have that appearance of 24/7, because in California, 6 o'clock is still early. So, whereas 9 o'clock, maybe in bed, like I might be. So it gives you that ability to still keep up and keep that personalized touch with your customers.
Yes.
So where I'm stuck, because this is me, for us OCD, ADD real estate agents, which I think is probably most,
Yeah, right, all of them.
right, all of them. And Eric, you've touched on this. I mean, really, and maybe there's not an answer, but do you have any ideas of ways to kind of refine the mental skill of not getting overwhelmed with all the incoming? Because look, used to just be a phone, all right? Then it was a mobile, then it was a voicemail, then it was an email, then it was a text. I mean, the channels, now it's LinkedIn and Face. I mean, it's all over the place. So what are some ways you can refine this mental skill of kind of sifting through all of that incoming data points and being able to say, hey, those are things I can kind of like just keep going through my day and not get overwhelmed by or bogged down by or feel like you have to respond to everything and all right at that time. I don't know if that is, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's a real struggle.
It does. And I think that there are tools actually even within these devices that kind of can help facilitate the kind of the offline work that to be done, right? So your task managers, okay, so I got to hit this, and this. I'm going to hit it at 3 to 5 p.m. tonight, and I'm going to get that done then. But I'll pop it in as a reminder so that my random access memory in my head isn't going to lose it. It's going to be there from 3 p.m. to 5, and I'll see it and I'll know to do it. A quick little tidbit: these little devices, there's quick text shortcuts that you can actually put in. So when someone's calling you and you're in a showing, if you just touch it, it sends the text message directly to the person calling you. Hey, I'm in a showing, but as soon as I get out, I'll return your call, and it's very important to me.
So you've
But they're getting it on the phone.
customized the responses. You've customized.
Yeah, I did. And so then when I'm at a closing, because you love to say that, right? So then you automatically send that out. Oh, I'm at a closing, but the minute I step out, I want to return your call. Your message is important to me. But if it's super urgent, fire me back a text and I can, see if I can get it addressed. But that's the type A personality I am. I always want to be, answering these things as quickly as possible. But you can customize I think it's up to 3 different messages that when an incoming call is happening, without just letting it go to voicemail, I know this is going to sound insane, but I don't even let voicemails happen. I don't. There's no need. You can literally fire off something, let them know that you can see that they're calling and that you're going to get back to them. And then you can have that, because the other part about real estate, and I think everybody on this call is going to agree, live phone conversations and face-to-face meetings are hands down the gold standard for any part of the transaction, any part of it. And so it's almost better not to be a voicemail so that you can call them live and have that conversation.
That's your competitive advantage. Yeah, speaking to them individually and having those face-to-face or those telephone calls for sure.
Without a doubt.
I don't know if anybody leaves voicemails anymore, but Angela, go ahead.
Yeah. The way I kind of manage everything, I let my calendar work for me. I am a huge Outlook fan, so I calendar everything. Like you said, you do time blocking. I calendar things at closing, so I reach out to individuals for anniversaries, birthdays. I remind them of their house anniversary. I send random St. Patrick's Day cards with scratch tickets to anyone who closed in the last year. So I try to let my calendar work for me. It reminds me of what I need to do on a daily basis, and I stick pretty well to it. So when someone calls, we can be a little more flexible than I think what we think we can. We always do want to do everything immediately or respond right away, but there is some flexibility in everyone's schedule, and so I do calendar. My calendar works for me. That's almost my little assistant, so it's my favorite tool.
That's cool. I was going to ask that a little bit more. Are there other tools or systems that you all have in place to improve your efficiency at delivering this level of service?
Yes.
Sorry, Andrew.
No, go right ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I try to do, if I can't be live on the call and I don't think that a text is appropriate, I use BombBomb, which is a video messaging platform that allows me to text, email, or even send it any other way that you want. But it allows you to give a video response to a question to give that personalized touch. And on top of all of that, you also can see if that recipient watched the entire video through. So if you're answering a very in-depth, thorough question and it's on video, and as you can see, I'm animated, I just always am, but that comes through. And so you get to deliver that personal touch, again, to your point, Angela, with a video. And I love that service. I've been a huge fan of it since I started.
Can you give an example? Like someone calls you about what? Say, for example, what would be?
Oh, perfect example. Hey, Eric, I saw that you've got some land listed here, and it's got waterfront. I'd love to learn more about it. So instead of, hey, let's set up a time to talk, I'll just, especially if I'm really in the weeds or I'm just heading to an appointment, I always leave myself a window of time on each end of the appointment. And so I can crank out an answer to it that's in video versus a text or a voicemail, and then I'll send it off. So I'll know that person's getting the necessary information they want. They're also getting a name with a face now that they didn't have before because they're just calling my sign. And then it furthers the conversation for once I'm done the appointment.
Wow, great. Angela, did you have a comment on that one, or?
I've not used that, but I've heard great things about it. So I definitely want to explore that. And I think there's so many tools out there to give us, availability. I use a CRM that's constantly communicating with my customers. Again, I calendar a lot of things, obviously auto searches. So all of those, basic information, but do need to continue to get better at giving that 24-hour service and letting go some of that control, like you mentioned, Chris, that you had a hard time doing.
Well, yeah, right. And I think you're all doing an amazing job. I'm so impressed. I feel like the, old dinosaur in the business. It's hard to change those ways and kind of learn all these programs, and things that are out there. There is a lot of leverage, obviously, that you can get. So Mandy, we understand that SignMore offers live agents. So real people answering calls 24/7. This isn't just, some automation thing. Why is that important? And chat bots are a big thing now. So like, why not just use one of those little chat bot things?
Well, to the point that you all mentioned earlier, right? Real estate equals real people. That's something that we highly believe in, and if you're going to say that that is the facts, then that's where we definitely come in to make sure that every time someone reaches you, they're going to have a human interaction. Someone will pick up the phone live. They'll be able to take the message. They'll be able to pre-screen. They can book appointments. So it's always having someone available to make sure that that call is answered. And I know you mentioned that, who leaves a voicemail anymore? Well, Consumer Reports actually shows that 75% of people that do not reach a live person are somewhat highly irritated, because in this world, it feels like since the pandemic, this world has become really 24/7. Like, people are used to just, it just doesn't matter the time of day, time of night. They expect someone to always be available, and especially in real estate, because it is a more 24/7 business. And with having a service like SignMore, it allows for them to really hold true to that promise of, you're always going to reach, it may not be me at time, but you are always going to reach a live person to handle your call, to be able to go over. So Eric, that tool that you mentioned, that is really amazing, because video calls are so important. It really is a personalized touch. So having that in your toolbox, and then also having a service like SignMore, really allows you to level up your service, allows you to level up who you are and what type of service you're going to offer to that client. They'll say, wait, there's a live person who always answers, and then Eric follows back up with a video giving me my explanation. Like, that is really, really high touch.
That's fantastic. I almost kind of wonder sometimes if customer service isn't a thing of the past. I mean, right? There's like, with the airlines or dealing with my car, depending upon the type of car you have, it's like you can't talk to anybody anymore, right? A lot of this stuff is text. It's a text number. It's not a person. There's not really consistency and continuity. I mean, is it just me? I don't know. Kind of seems that way. So, right?
I didn't actually mention, I didn't talk about the chat bots, because we do chat. We do offer chat, but it's with a live person. So it's always live. It's always a live person. So you're right. People want to speak with people. They want to know that you are a live body
How
somewhere.
about that
So
somebody cares?
I know there's been a few times where I've chatted and I'm like, is this a real person? Like, I really
Oh,
want a real
right.
person.
Right. Yeah, Eric, I think you had a comment there.
So before I did leave the world of healthcare, I worked for an artificial intelligence company. And the idea was that if we could create a bot that had such a human-like response that the human interacting with it didn't know, that is the sweet spot for AI. That is absolutely the sweet spot. Now, that being said, let's go back to that earlier point. Voice and face-to-face are absolutely hands down the gold standard, and they always will be, which is why I feel like there's always a future for real estate just because of that. However, there are efficiencies that are in place that can certainly, like BombBomb, like Sign More, that's going to facilitate the touch and the game changer that you need. And I'll kind of extend that point to say that as we look at the change of our future, I think the way that we can even level up our game is by doing these types of things, right? You will stand out, and because you're carrying it through the entire transaction history and then afterwards, you're going to then create that career longevity because the service didn't stop. They just kept delivering, and that's going to stand out. So
That's great. Did you have a comment on that one, Angela? Or
No, I'm in complete agreement. I think that just continuing to stay in touch, and I love that you said the longevity, because it's not one transaction and then you're done. It goes on, and I think having these tools to not just support you when you first meet them, but then throughout the transaction and afterwards is so important. I think I read there's 80% of realtors don't follow up with their customers after closing,
wow,
and I just think that's such a wild number, but you know,
crazy.
not yeah, because they move on to the next shiny penny, right? So you're moving on to the next thing that's in front of you, and if you don't have these tools and support services in place, then you really don't have that follow-up system. So
I think that's great. That's great. I mean, I was an agent still in '99 before 2000, and that was like the big, Y2K year. Everything
yeah,
was gonna, I don't know what was supposed to happen. Something was supposed to happen. But
yeah,
I remember being told by, you know, tech people or whatever that we were going to be out of business, almost like tomorrow, like in a month or 6 months,
Mhm.
you real estate agents are going to be out of business, and I'm like, God, gee, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you hear enough people say something, you can start believing it. But I think it's so fascinating if you look at, tens of billions of dollars have been spent or burned trying to disrupt this highly relational business, and no one's been able to scale the personalization. Really,
no,
that's the line of scrimmage in my mind. And by not being able to scale that personalization in such a personal business, here we are 25 years, a quarter century later, and agents that are providing the service like you all are thriving and doing a great job for their clients, and those clients still gravitate towards it. So these are all really, really important topics.
and
Right?
computers, yeah, computers can't replace that personal relationship that we give. I mean, it can try and they can communicate and we can use those tools, but that personal one-on-one service and the compassion that humans have is something that I don't think will ever be replaced, and especially not in this service.
And there's always
So
those
to
cases I see these transactional problems come up. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go to the website, go to the drop down menu to see how they're going to automate that fix, right?
Right. So
There's tons of those examples. So Mandy, did you have a comment there too?
Yes, to Angela's point, I mean, real estate is when you're filling out any information, right? Like when you're filling out for an application, they ask you, have you had any life-changing events? And purchasing a home is always listed there because that is a life-changing event. So to me, that's never going to change, because when you talk about life-changing events, that equals humans, it's relationships. So you're going to always, to me, that's where that falls in. It's just going to always be something where it's a relational type interaction, type transaction, and it can't be replaced by
That's
computers, by bots. It's definitely something that will stay face to face.
that's right. That's exciting.
yeah,
We may have other changes to contend with, and they just keep coming. But that fact, I agree with you, Mandy. Thanks for affirming that. I think that is very true. So let's kind of shift a little gear here. So how does this idea of 24/7 service tie into your work-life balance and being present? Oh, that thing about being actually present, be wherever we are, be there, in other areas of your life. So Angela, maybe, I don't know if you want to start with that one.
Yeah, again, I'm going to just reiterate, I think having the right tools in place that fit smoothly into your current workflow, having those support systems, it helps you to, your business to continue to function, even when you're being present in other parts of life. So I mentioned earlier, I have 2 boys. So when I'm at the baseball field, it's very difficult to take a call. There's lots of cheering and yelling in the background. So I love the Sign More model in that, you can have them, support you so that you can be present. Family vacations, there will be interruptions. We definitely can all attest to that, but I think minimizing those by utilizing the available tools and support services out there, like the BombBomb and the autoresponders and CRMs and different communication tools is really imperative in our business so that we can live our life and work. There's that whole work-life balance that we all struggle with, I think.
For sure. And hey, I think our first call or meeting, you had a track meet, right?
Yes,
And I mean,
yes,
that's got to take priority, those
yes.
activities. You don't want to miss out on that.
No, today's gone, so you don't get those opportunities back to be part of your family and enjoy those things. And so there's definitely has to be harmony between the 2 of them. Otherwise, you burn out, and that's the last thing that you want to do. You want to work for the things that you love doing, whether that is vacation or your home or your family and friends. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much. How about Eric?
So Ashley Ralston, a very dear friend of mine and another associate broker at Portside, after my very, very, very successful first year of real estate, she very frankly said, there is no way you're going to maintain quality of life at that volume without a transaction coordinator and a few other tools. So you better start looking at them now. And when you're new to real estate, it's just so overwhelming, but at the same time, you're just happy to be there and happy to be, getting things done. So I did. I invested in a transaction coordinator, and I'll say to Angela's point, there is nothing that allows you to be more present in your family moments than knowing that you have a trusted professional who is white glove servicing every single client that you have under contract, from contract to close. I mean, there is nothing that allows you that level of presence at a swim meet, or while you're out to dinner with your family, or while you're at an event on Sunday, whatever that is. And I can't stress the lift that happens off your shoulders when you know that trusted partner of yours, I say she's my teammate because she truly is, that's just epic. And so, I mean, that does allow you to have that quality of life, that balance, if you will, but at the same time, know, even behind the scenes, when you're at that, continuing education class, or when you're out with your family or at that track meet, things are getting done to the highest level of quality at the same time. That's huge.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's great. Mandy, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, having that work-life balance is key. And like I mentioned in the beginning, I've got a very bustling family as well. So that's why I am really as passionate as I am, because even though I'm not selling real estate, I'm supporting real estate, which is also a 24/7. So it's nice to know that a service like Sign More can be a part of a realtor's tool belt, or anyone in real estate, any real estate professional's tool belt, to give them the leverage that they need, that peace of mind that they need to know that they can live their life, be able to be present, be where their feet are, and also know that things are still getting done. That, calls that are coming in, they're not going to voicemail. We even can integrate with social media. So if people chat in on social media regarding a property, we can even follow up with that.
Oh,
So
that's great. That's great.
Really great.
And then to Angela's point with the CRM, we actually integrate with CRM. So in addition to taking all of this information, we can push it into their CRM, so that that's one less step that they have to do when they get the notification or the callback that they have to make. So I love this conversation because I've heard so many other tools that I didn't even know existed, that can be a part of your tool belt to give you that leverage that you need to balance it out. Because what I'm hearing is, how do we make this a long game, right? How can we make this scalable? Not just a today, but a career path. And if you're going to make it a career path, you want to make sure those tools are there and in place. You can add it along at any point in your journey, but to make sure those tools are in place so that you can achieve those long-term goals.
Oh,
Yep.
this is great. I mean, wonderful. Was there something else there, Eric? Did you have something on that?
No, I was in full agreement, actually.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I mean, Eric, you're talking about having a strong transaction coordinator. I mentioned early on, we didn't have, TCs, when I was in the business, or selling, I should say. I remember driving around in my car with buyer number 3 on a Saturday. You had 10 or 11 escrows going, and in those days, the buyers got in your car. Every single buyer was in your car. So I mean, you got to be on. You got to know you got to know where you're going, and all that kind of stuff. And like all of a sudden, you'd have like a panic attack, thinking, "Gee, did I do the TDS on escrow number 7?"
That's like a whole nother level,
right?
Yes.
That's a whole nother level of bandwidth.
And that's not sustainable. So I mean, all these ideas that you're offering today are so valuable. They're so valuable. So thank you for that. So I'm on a call today. On this call, I'm an agent. I'm a newer or an experienced agent. Sometimes for those of us that have a lot of experience, it's really hard to adopt new ways of doing business. Particularly if the way we've always done it is producing results. We may be miserable, but we're getting results. And so where should real estate agents focus, like right now today? What's the first thing or two they could do to identify and start implementing some ways to meet these service demands, to build this scalable, sustainable business that we've been talking about during this last hour?
Eric, do you want to go, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. I would say the very first thing you do is start in person by setting very clear expectations around how the day is managed. Because, Joe on the street as a buyer thinks, hey, real estate 24/7 all the time, right? That's a stereotype. I'm good. And so I think when you formulate that relationship and you lay out exactly how the day happens, I think right there, you're not only gaining some credibility, but you're also setting some very fair boundaries, while at the same time allowing your client to have an expectation of when that information is going to get back to them. So I think from day one, everybody listening to this call could easily add that into their process, for sure. And I'd say that would be the next one, is get a process. Because if you don't, you're going to be scattered and it's going to be buckshot. And as our industry does change and evolve, which, well, let's face it, we represent change. We facilitate change on a transaction basis. So the more that we can be process oriented, I think that will allow everybody on this call, listening to this call, watching this video, to also be able to evolve with those changes as they come.
Super cool. Angela?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Eric said. I think that communication and setting boundaries and expectations with everyone is very, very important in how we function and how we can operate and meet those expectations. My biggest piece of advice is, I think, identify those things that at the end of the day or at the end of the week, even though you've time blocked your calendar, you never find time to get to. And I think write them down and do that for a couple weeks in a row, a few weeks in a row, and then explore tools that will do those things for you. So some of the things, obviously, you have to make those telephone calls. You need to talk to your customers, follow up with your sellers, etc. But those things you don't ever get to, maybe those social media posts or the testimonials or whatever it is, and then identify different tools or individuals who can assist you with those, and find tools that fit smoothly in your current workflow, because that's important as well. There's so many options out there. And we all work differently, and that's what makes us unique. And so finding something that fits and really supports your business plan, I would say, is key.
That's awesome. Thank you. Mandy?
I mean, I love the suggestions Eric and Angela both gave. It's really creating that plan, and then once creating that plan, finding, like Angela said, finding those tools that can support you. That's where, when I'm having conversations with our clients, it's, what we are one tool. We're not the only tool. We're one tool, but if we're handling calls, what can you use that time for now? Now that we're taking that piece from you, or alleviating that piece from you, um, what can you use that time? How can you reallocate that time back into your day, to Angela's point, to do those follow-ups, to be able to do, go after those, that stat is absolutely insane, Angela, about the 80%, do not follow up. 80% of realtors do not follow up with, with their buyers after closing. Like, being able to tap into some of that, like, those are your gold nuggets. But being able to add those tools that allow you to, well, one, gives you the ability to delegate some of those tasks so that you can do the things that no one else can do.
Super cool. Super cool. Great stuff. We have some questions coming into the chat. And so let's take a look here. The first one is, the audience wants to know if Mandy's service, if SignMore has 24/7 staff.
Yes, we do.
It's
We
a
are
good
staffed
question.
24/7, 365, holidays, weekends. We're always available to take calls. So if you're not available, we are.
That's awesome.
That's wonderful. And then another question here. Are Mandy's employees trained real estate professionals? And do they have background knowledge, I guess, or what is sort of their background knowledge and experience?
So we do have property-focused agents, who work in the real estate realm. So they handle the calls. But really and truly, the key is making sure that your scripting is customized to handle the call that you would if you were to have a receptionist. If you had a receptionist sitting in office, and you would want them to be trained on X and handle the call this way, that's exactly what you would do with us. The only difference is it's not that you're verbally telling them, you're verbally telling our client account team, and they're then building out a script to make sure that everyone who handles the call will be able to handle it in the way that you would want someone in your office to.
Okay, so let's elaborate that on a little bit, because the next question is, how is the SignMore staff trained?
They are trained to follow the script. So it's making sure that what you want us to be able to collect. So for example, if it's pre-qualifying the leads, finding out, when they're looking to buy, if it's right now, that's a hot lead and you want us to transfer that call, we would build that information out, and that agent they're going to follow that flow and transfer that call. If somebody is a little colder and they're just kind of looking around, and you want us to get the information and send you a message, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Okay, that's cool. And there's one last one, Mandy, you're getting all the questions here.
Sure.
There's one last one here. Can you ask Mandy to talk about how her business model applies to today's topic? So maybe that's a little broader, but that's a good question as well.
Yes. So being 24/7, like we've been discussing the entire time, being 24/7 is not scalable, right? Like, I think that's something we can all agree on, but it is a stereotype of the industry. So everyone expects real estate to be 24/7, but maybe you can at one day, one point, but it's not something that is scalable. It you can only run on that amount of energy or that amount at that pace for so long before you've capped yourself. And instead of capping yourself, a service that like Sign More and what we offer allows for you to be able to become scalable. It allows for you to regain control of where you see your future going in real estate. Is it, if you're in it for the long game and you want this to be 10, 20, 30 years of it, then this solution allows for you to be able to do that. And going to Eric's point, where we were talking about consistency earlier. I love that because it's not realistic to keep up. If you're a one-man band and you're doing it all, it's not realistic to say that you can offer that same service when you start out in 2 or 3 years if you're picking up more clients.
Well,
So
which is the goal.
yes, right? It's to pick up more
Be
clients.
careful what you
So
wish for. I mean, that's what you want.
So it's being able to keep that continuous service, not just in the beginning, but how can you make that their experience every single time? Every time they reach out to you, they know they're going or refer you because you want those referrals. Every time they refer you, they can say, "Oh, yep, every time they're going to get back with you. I know for a fact that Eric or Angela, they're going to reach back out to me in this amount of time. Anytime I call out, there's always going to be a live person, or I'm going to receive a video message answering my call." But it's setting those expectations that set you apart from others in the industry.
Where were you guys in 1998? I, this is so progressive and awesome. Okay, so thank you for that. We have another question. Eric, you mentioned a couple books, and I
Yeah,
imagine you probably have a few others,
I
since
do.
you're an avid reader.
I
Would you
am.
mind reminding us about the couple books you mentioned, because we sort of flew through that,
Yeah.
and maybe if you have any others you might recommend.
So I think, so pertinent to our topic today is David Allen's Getting Things Done. It's a great book, not a big, heavy, heady read, but yet it speaks to the fact that, and I think, it ties right back into what Mandy and you were talking about, Chris, which is so much on your plate. There's so much going on that if you can get it done in 5 minutes, absolutely do it. But if you can't, you've got to get it into a system. If it's a notepad, if it's your iPad, if it's an old sticky note, but you've got to get it into a system so that you're not losing it. Because to Mandy's point, our delivery, personal and over the phone, is still our gold standard of delivery. And so, but if we're forgetting to be able to deliver, then that's where you lose, right? And so I almost think that you've got to let go a little bit, and I had to look myself in the mirror and say this, you've got to let go of a little bit of that control in order to succeed in your business. And it sounds insane because when you first start real estate, you're trying to do everything. And you are everything because you don't have the bandwidth or the financial resources to take care of that. But once you get a few in under your belt, suddenly you start to realize, how can I elevate my delivery? What am I going to elevate delivering? Administrative tasks? Of course not. That's not why people hired you. That's not why people asked you to sell their house, because you can fill out a form really cleanly. No, they hired you because they like you. They trust you. They want to work with you. So you offload those administrative tasks, and that
Oh, you
allows
mean agents shouldn't be like building their own little flyer?
on Canva for 6 hours straight. Yeah, exactly. But okay, so back to the books. Sorry.
Yeah, the books. Yeah, sorry.
Really went down the wrong road there. Sorry. Then also Michael Mayer, The 7 Levels of Communication. Now that is an absolute win for everybody on this audience because it's designed for real estate. From beginning to end, that is a real estate book, but it is gold. And I mean, and in fact, it's so gold that I've read it and I've listened to it, and then I go back to it at least once a year because there are just so many pearls in it that you're just like, oh, geez. And that's without a doubt. And the last one that I think I did not mention, and shame on me, but I think it's very timely right now, which is, dang it, I wrote it down. Sorry, I'm going to cheat. Forgive me. So it is, and I finished it a while back, so I probably have to give it another read, but Unreasonable Hospitality.
Fantastic book.
Epic.
We just did a company mastermind on that book. My co-founder and best friend just led it.
Yep.
What are just a couple things from that book that just really just
we have an even greater opportunity to have such a massive impact on such a massive decision in someone's life versus going out to eat. And so we have such an intimate connection with our clients that there is no question that we can raise the bar tenfold when we're, delivering that closing gift, or when we're walking them through that home, because we are, let's be honest, we're emotionally connected to them because we're empathetically going through that experience with them. And so I thought that one of his divides around the fact that, and he even calls us out, real estate agents should be able to crush it when it comes to raising the bar on how they deliver for their clients, because they have them for the entire trajectory of the transaction, whereas we have them for a night. That, awesome.
Yeah, that's a top recommendation. I'm glad you brought that one up, Eric. Thank you. So we have about 3-4 minutes left. I wanted to ask Angela and just the group in general, if you have any kind of, closing thoughts or, further thoughts, just to kind of bring everything home here for our audience.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to research some of the tools that have been mentioned, to include Sign More and the BombBomb. I think video is something that we are definitely getting more and more involved in, especially in our career, and people do want those personal touches. So I love that recommendation. And yeah, it's just the communication and setting those expectations of that 24/7, and finding the tools that fit so that we can still provide exceptional service and also still enjoy every day and being part of our family and life. So,
well, yeah, I think you guys, the business is so much more complex, today than it's ever been. And so I praise all of you for the wonderful job that you're doing. I mean, clearly you're doing a great job, producing and growing your business, but also, balancing the things that are important in your life, which is very difficult to do. So I think we've got coming up here towards the end. Is there a QR code coming up, Mandy?
Yes, I'll just,
Yeah.
yep. So this is our QR code to learn more about Sign More. If you're on the call and you're like, let's just give it a try. Let's see what this is about. We would love to speak with you. We'd love to have you as a client, and have the opportunity to earn your business, because that's what real estate is about, is the opportunity to earn business. So I really enjoyed being on here today. Just once again, just high level, some of the services we offer. We're 24/7, 365, always live answering on chat. We offer integrations, we can book appointments. So, and we can pre-qualify leads and hopefully be that additional tool in your toolbox to offer that leverage.
Cool. I see you got some good positive Google reviews there. Lots of stars. That's great. That looked good. Well, look, I want to thank you all very, very much. Mandy, again, thank you, and Sign More for sponsoring this. I hope it was of good value to our attendees today. Angela and Eric, I know you're all busy. And so, managing 24/7 and also finding time to give back with your knowledge and experience. I mean, we're super, super grateful for you as well. So again, thank you all. Thank you to our attendees, and everyone enjoy the rest of the day today.
thank you, Chris.
All right.
Thank you.
Chris. Thank you, Mandy. It's fun.
Yeah.